everybody. Today is day 13 of the Advent Renew Your Mind Challenge. We have been diving deep into neuroscience and the Bible over the past 13 days. So, hopefully, you have come to see how intricately God has wired our brains and how the modern day environment that we live in and the stressors that are around us have changed our brains and sent us into a chronic state of fight or flight pattern. The truth is that I know you are struggling with this because 80% of the population has stress that impacts their health. This impacts every system and organ in our body and eventually leads to chronic disease as well as mental and spiritual struggles. That's just the fact that is out there. That is what Americans are struggling with, especially women. Yesterday, I posted about old ways of thinking, and so hopefully you were able to take some time and identify ways of thinking that are wired into your brain that you want to change. This is important for you to recognize these in order to notice them when they come up and then be able to change your thought patterns. If you want to renew your mind, you have to be aware of where the snags are in your current wiring. Today, we're going to talk about your vagus nerve and how this is so important in that rewiring process. When you notice old patterns of thinking, old ways of thinking, and you want to change that way of thinking, you have to change your nervous system response to what's going on around you. So, how do you do that? That's what we're going to talk about. You can use the vagus nerve and its power to retrain your brain and your body, which is very, very exciting that you're able to do this. What is the vagus nerve? It's the 10th cranial nerve. So coming out at the brainstem, at the base of the brain, it has a few major purposes in the body. Mainly, it is connecting the brain to the internal organs. It's the main nerve in the parasympathetic nervous system that controls your internal organs. It carries the signal from the brainstem down to the organs to regulate functions like digestion, respiration, heart rate. It also communicates between systems. So it's such an important communicator because it transmits signals back and forth between the brain and certain systems like the heart and the lungs, the gut and the immune system. This is the brain-body connection. This is that gut-brain axis that you may hear about. It helps coordinate the functions. It gets information from and sends information to. It also helps regulate your heart rate. One branch of the vagus nerve innervates the heart muscle. It works to slow down your heart rate. It helps reduce heart rate when we don't need it increasing. It helps counteract the sympathetic nervous system drive, which normally speeds up the heart rate. It helps to calm it back down. It also helps in that gut-brain axis to control your digestion. So large portions of this nerve are going to innervate that gastrointestinal tract from the esophagus to the colon, and it regulates that peristalsis, that acid secretion, the enzymes, the food movement through the digestive system. So I tell people, yes, there are some things that we might need to do to get some things going. But if the nervous system isn't doing what it needs to do to help you and you're struggling with constipation, let's start there. It also helps modulate inflammation. So the vagus nerve is involved in an inflammatory reflex. So it sends signals from the brain to the immune cells in organs like the spleen and the lungs. And it helps control inflammation responses in the body. It also helps produce vocal sounds. Branches of the vagus nerve innervate the larynx and the vocal cords and allows us to make sounds and aids in functions like speaking and singing and swallowing. So if you feel like you always get hoarse all the time, or you feel like something gets stuck in your throat all the time, you lose your voice frequently, we always try to blame it on the larynx and the vocal cords, but the vagus nerve could have a pretty huge role to play in that. Just think of it as a wandering nerve throughout your brain all the way down to your colon that acts as a critical communication highway between the brain and everything else. It plays such an important role in keeping your body in the right state. Some common symptoms of poor vagal tone. When I say poor vagal tone, that means your vagus nerve isn't doing the job that it needs to. It's not regulating things and relaxing your body. Let's go over those. You might recognize these, by the way, because they coincide with some of those limbic system dysregulation symptoms that we talked about this week. But palpitations, irregular heartbeats. The vagus nerve helps regulate that heart rate. So low vagal tone can lead to skipped heartbeats or palpitations. Gastrointestinal issues. The vagus nerve innervates the gut, so poor tone is going to be linked to acid reflux, to bloating, diarrhea, constipation, chronic stress, and anxiety. It's going to be that rest and digest parasympathetic response. It's going to be the counter to stress. So low vagal tone is going to contribute to feeling like you're on edge all the time. You're going to have difficulty sleeping because of that insufficient parasympathetic activity at night. It's going to make you really hard to wind down and physically fall asleep. You're going to have poor digestion because of the low stomach acid, the delayed motility in the stomach, difficulty absorbing nutrients. All of that is going to happen if your vagus nerve isn't doing what it needs to do. Bradycardia, you could have low resting heart rate due to reduced parasympathetic inhibition of a node that is in the heart, and that can also cause lightheadedness, asthma, wheezing, because of the bronchial muscles. It's going to contribute to bronchospasms if you do not have that relaxation, and it's going to cause difficulty in breathing. Dry mouth, dry eyes. It regulates moisture secretion from the salivary glands and the tear ducts, so low tone will lead to dryness. So that's why I'm like, if somebody comes to me with dry mouth, dry eyes, I'm like, how's your stress level first and foremost before we start trying to fix other things? Mood issues, it's going to disrupt that brain-gut connection and production of mood regulating neurotransmitters in the gut. 80-90% of serotonin is produced in the gut. So if there's a gut-brain connection issue and you're not producing serotonin, you're going to notice some of that mood dysregulation. Fatigue, low energy. You're going to feel constantly drained. And just know the severity and number of symptoms experienced can vary greatly between individuals, but this is because your vagus nerve has been under stress for so long, you've been in that chronic stress, that it needs help to be able to get back to that place where it can be the communication highway that it needs to be. So how did you get that way? Like I said, long-term activation of the stress response is going to wear down the parasympathetic nervous system. So first and foremost, you're going to have to check yourself with the chronic stress. You're going to have to unhurry your life. You're going to have to make some severe changes so that you are not running on fumes all the time. The second thing is your diet. Eating foods high in sugar, processed foods, trans fats, low in nutrients, doesn't support vagus nerve health. You're going to unbalance your blood sugar. It's going to greatly impact the nervous system. Your diet doesn't just have to do with your weight. Your diet has to do with the health of your brain and the health of your gut and the health of their communication together, and it's impacting more than you know. Inflammation, systemic inflammation from conditions like obesity or autoimmune disease or infections, those are going to disrupt vagal vagal nerve tone and the signaling there if you are not exercising and you have a lot of inactivity. It's going to fail to stimulate the vagus nerve and the parasympathetic activity. If you have excessive screen time, if you chronically overstimulate the visual cortex, you're going to cut into restorative downtime needed by the vagus nerve, especially if you do it at night before bed. So that's when it comes to that, connects to that poor sleep. You start getting poor sleep, and it's going to disrupt the typical rise in vagal nerve tone that increases with sleep and rest. So it all is going to kind of come together there. If you have neurological disorders that can also physically impact the vagus nerve fibers, like Parkinson, stroke, traumatic brain injuries, MS. If you are on medications, common medications like anticholinergics, like antihistamines, like SSRIs, like steroids, may unintentionally inhibit the vagus nerve. So just something to think about. Alcohol, heavy binge drinking is toxic to vagus nerve fibers and suppresses parasympathetic function. Not only that, it also zaps you of B vitamins, which are very important for energy production. So while you may think just, alcohol here and there, especially during the holidays, isn't making a huge impact on your health, it very well could be. Not just physical health, but also mental, spiritual. Asthma can definitely reduce vagal input to the lungs and bronchioles. Gastric bypass surgery, because bypassing portions of the digestive tract may impact communications with the organs. And other mental, spiritual things that could impact vagal tone and function are trauma, unresolved trauma, unhealthy thinking patterns, like we've talked about. Go back and listen if you haven't, and sin. And we're going to talk about that more too. But unrepentant sin, bitterness, unforgiveness, all of that is going to impact your vagus nerve tone because you're not going to be in a state where you are resting. So the goal here is optimizing these lifestyle factors that are within our control while also addressing any underlying health conditions that are going to impact vagus nerve tone. And I feel like I just went away and I don't know why. So just know that is the goal overall. You have to consciously choose to change these factors in order to address your vagus nerve's lack of function. You have to want to do it and want to change. So just know that it is a choice. You have to consciously want to make that change. You have to consciously want to calm your stress response, and you have to understand where to start. So first, like I said, you need to go back and listen to these other days because we're talking about making sure that you're recognizing your emotional state, your thought patterns. If we increase your emotional state and you are able to function in a state of joy despite your circumstances, then you are going to increase your vagal tone. If you're going to decrease those fear-based thoughts, you will increase your vagus tone. If you balance your blood sugar out and you choose to eat whole foods, whole food diet, you're going to help your vagus nerve tone. If you move your body, if you sleep more with good sleep quality and no screens before bed, if you pray and meditate on God's word, if you heal deep wounds and confess deep sins and connect with others and don't try to live life alone, you will impact your vagus nerve. So those are all those lifestyle factors that you have to address in order to truly make a change. There are also some other very practical exercises you can do to help your vagus nerve reset. Like anything, you have to be consistent. So here are some exercises and activities that I feel like will help you with your vagus nerve tone. We're going to demonstrate some of those right here, right now. The first one is salamander exercise. It is inspired and based on the polyvagal theory, which we could go into in depth. I love it. But here's what you got to do in simplicity is you're going to tilt your head to the right, and then you're going to look with your eyes to the right, and you're going to stay there until you yawn, sigh, or swallow. So those are all signs of parasympathetic activity. I'm like holding back my yawn. The sooner it happens, the more quickly you're able to engage your vagus nerve. So then you're going to just repeat to the other side. Make sure it's a tilt, not a rotation, just a tilt, and then eyes, and you're going to hold it there until you swallow, sigh, or yawn. That means that you are able to engage your vagus nerve, which is fantastic. Another thing that you can do is deep breathe. So slow abdominal breathing exercises. Think about your rib cage is 360 degrees forward, sideways. You're trying to expand in all directions. When you do that, slowly, you're able to activate the vagus nerve's anti-inflammatory pathway and calm your nervous system down. You can just take deep breaths like that, laying down, or you could also try some alternate nasal breathing. So that is where you're going to put 2 fingers on the bridge of your nose. You're going to put your thumb and your ring finger there. You're going to inhale just through one side, close that side, and then exhale through the other side. Then you're going to inhale through this side. Close that finger, exhale through the other side. Do 10 rounds there. Inhale, close, exhale. 10 rounds of that. Another one that I really love to do is box breathing. So that's where you're thinking about inhaling, holding your breath, exhaling, holding your breath. So you're going to count in for 4 counts, hold your breath for 4 counts, exhale for 4 counts, then hold your breath for 4 counts. So let's try it. So inhale, hold, exhale, hold. And you would set a timer for 5 minutes and try to repeat that for 5 minutes a day. And you'll be amazed how that can help just bring your system back to that state of relaxation and rest. Stretching is also fantastic. Gentle poses specifically that elongate the neck and the chest are going to help to open that vagus nerve pathway in those areas. Think about this is going to be closing down, but the more you open up, the better. So just think gentle poses that elongate the neck and chest, really opening. That's going to be helpful. Singing or humming, so vibrations from the vocal cords are going to directly stimulate the vagus nerve pathway to the lungs, larynx, and the stomach. So hum away. Sing. This is a great time to pull in some daily worship jams in your car. Whatever it is, singing is truly healing to your body. So I think that's why worship and song are just so talked about throughout the Bible. Laughter and smiling, it forces full exhalation, and full exhalation increases parasympathetic tone throughout your vagus nerve feedback loop. So making sure you have opportunity to laugh or smile, watch something that makes you crack up. It's good for your body, it's good for your brain. Cold exposure, so brief periods in cold water or air cause protective vagal nerve responses in organs like the heart. It's good to get cold. It's good to go outside in the winter. It is not good to stay inside all the time in your nice cozy house on the couch. You need to get outside. You need to move. Massage is really helpful as well. So kneading or applying pressure to the neck, chest. This is a good one just if you're feeling anxious. Just circular motions there in the middle of your chest, abdomen, massaging your abdomen and around your belly button in that left to right circular pattern can help aid in digestion and reduce that vagal tone. Paced breathing, so regulated inhales of like 4 to 7 seconds each is going to help. Rebounding exercises like jumping on a mini tramp or vibration plate, that's going to help massage kind of that internal organ mechanoreceptors there. Meditation on scripture, mental relaxation is going to activate parasympathetic response through the vagus nerve pathway. Prayer, spiritual connection is going to calm the mind and the body through vagus nerve pathways. And then also aerobic exercise. As you increase your heart rate, you're going to strengthen your vagal brake as it returns to normal. And so that variability in your heart rate is just so important. I would just say it doesn't have to be super intense. It's not all or none, but it's just you need a variation in your heart rate. I will encourage you to just add a few minutes of these low effort activities daily that can benefit you so much over time. If you're really struggling, I would try to schedule 2 to 3 sessions of 5 minutes of breathing per day. You could increase your breathing with meals to help with digestion, increase your breathing during stressful periods, increase it while you're driving, before you go to sleep, and do these things consistently for 4 to 6 weeks. Don't give up. These things aren't going to change fast. You didn't get here even in 4 to 6 weeks. You got here with years of chronic stress. So remember not to give up. Schedule it in. You can do it. These are amazing tools that the Lord has given us to tap into our physiology that are right at our fingertips. So unhurry your life and learn to breathe deep, and let's engage your vagus nerve. And hopefully this will put you on the right path to retraining and rewiring your brain. I hope you guys have a wonderful evening, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.